here we are for the compliance OS. Last time we left on these three different categories: logical assets, operations, and very poorly named category human. So we're gonna start from here. I noticed when I watched the video that I made some typos and several English issues, so I'll try to fix them today. This one also would be better as bold text. Okay, so let's just start with the content here. We go on the compliant OS. And first thing I wanted to fix is the customers part. Here, this page that I named customer because of course the entities that it will deal with are actual customers. I just wanted to make sure to share the information that you might not want to use Notion to deal with personal data, and customer data is personal data. Of course, there aren't any security issues that I'm aware of or whatever that would say you shouldn't use Notion. But one thing is that Notion is still based in the US, and some companies might not want to use a software that is based in which the company is based in the US to deal with their personal data or other information. So this part here is really something that will be specific to the operating system that we are creating here. You might not want to use Notion, and you might want to link to other entities outside of the operating system. They will still be actually in your operating system, but they won't be in a Notion database. So this one could be a prospection database. You might have your prospects here and not your customers because the previously introduced processes were actually closer to closing a deal than actually to manage the ongoing relationship with some customers. But let's keep it named customer right now, and that will be okay. Another thing that I seen was this. I mentioned data catalog, but I kept this page named data. This is actually the data catalog because we have data split around many databases here. Vendor management is correct, or we can also actually call it vendors, because as we've seen, the vendors management will be a dashboard of itself and not a database. And here we are. So starting from here, I introduced the notion of forms last time. I will wait still a bit because my understanding is that Notion will introduce form features in the future, in the very close future. So I won't create an integration with another form service provider, but I will just keep it here and wait for now. This one was very poorly called procurations. It's a list of procurations, but many times I mentioned that your procurations would use it, and I meant your procurements, of course. So this said, let's keep going on this compliant OS that we are building here. So we can map all the data, we can map all the processing activities, and one thing that is missing here, if we want to actually build compliance on top of this operating system, would be the purpose of these activities. Opening new activities will open your business to new markets, and doing so to new regulations or to new industry regulations. As an example, you might have to deal with some activities regarding intellectual property or money transactions or personal data. In order to make sure that you actually will be able to analyze and audit your system, you will need to understand why you're doing these activities. Why do you need them? Maybe you don't need them. And that's what the audit should be about. Do you actually need to do these activities inside your business? Or do you actually need to change the way you do these activities? Because the purpose you're processing data, as an example, is actually not met through the way you are processing this data. So we're gonna create a page with a database again that we will call the purpose. And we will create a first purpose, that is to close a deal, as an example, or to issue a quote, etc., etc. So anytime you will add a new activity, and actually that's something you should do before you even think about adding activities, you will come with the idea of how we need to do something new. We need to be able to close a deal, we need to be able to issue a quote. So what will we need to do? So it's actually better for any compliance framework to start from the purpose and to go to dive into the activity later. But the reality of the work is that activities will very often be implemented before there is any audit or any analysis of what are the purpose of processing these activities or whatever. So this one will of course only be used for compliance, not only for data protection, but also for legal work. Let me explain. As you will start to list the purpose of any activities in your business, you will, as I said, meet new regulations, new markets. So this is the place you're gonna gather all the information about it as well. That's not how it is said in the GDPR. That's just, I believe, a right place to do so with the current system that we are building. So I will add what GDPR calls, let me just quickly translate that, the legal basis, I think, which will actually be, is like this data means, is there a law that forbid me from doing this activity in such a way, or is there a law that enforce me, require me to do this activity, to do something specific inside my company. So here, of course, for these you won't have any kind of laws, but you might have, let me think. Yeah, let's say you want to know if your customer are in age, or their children or no. So you will have a purpose when issuing a quote. One of your purpose will be to define whether the prospect is actually a child or not. That's very simple. Of course, this might just be a word, something you mention on the website. If you are children, don't feel anything. But if you decide to process this data, let's say you might have a teenager of 16 years old who want to use the product and might in 2 years become adult and actually make a business out of your product. Let's say you have a process for that, then you might want to say we have a purpose of collecting age information. So the purpose will be define whether the prospect is a child or not. And that's really lawful to know. And the legal basis will be, I believe there's a law in the US called COPPA, I think, which is about child protection. And because you comply with COPPA, you will implement an activity which the purpose will be to define whether the prospect is a child or is not. So we will come back in the record of processing activities, and we will create here a new activity that we might call child detection activity. No idea. Let's call it the. Yeah, we can just call it COPPA requirements. I'm not sure about the name of this flow truly, but this should be it. And we will link a new data, which is the age of the customer that we will create in the data catalog. And then the third party, there won't be any third party for it. Actually, yes, Squarespace, if we require the form on the website to be filled with the age of the person. and we will then add a link relation with the purpose here. We will want to show this activity on the purpose as well, and the purpose for us to deal with COPPA requirements will be define whether the prospect is a child or not. We can of course enhance this view here, because if we want, we can create a lookup. Wasn't it a lookup? A rollup, sorry. And this rollup will be related to the purpose, and we want to see whether there is a legal basis justifying this activity, and we will show the original property. Doing so, we can see that we have a COPPA requirements activity, that I am accountable to process this activity, and I'm dealing with the age of the customer data. Squarespace is dealing with the age of the customer data, and my purpose to design it that way is that I need to define whether the prospect is a child or not, because of the COPPA regulation. That's basically how you're gonna start auditing for legal work, and that is very simple. You see, I just added a new database that you will need for other reasons as well. And I just added a legal basis, and now I can see my legal basis in any activities. So I can link legal assets, in this case the COPPA regulation, with culture assets, purpose. These are not actual cultural, these are clearly compliant. And I will be able to link the activity that is an asset of my company, something that I'm doing, something that opened my company to new businesses that create values for people, create value for my company, and eventually is something any person who will want to buy the company, who invest in it, will also buy. You buy a company, you buy its activities, and you buy also the contract binding you with the people who are processing these things, the third parties, etc., etc. All the documentations you're creating here will actually provide a lot more value to your company, because you wouldn't buy something that doesn't have any description, and this is the description, the full extensive description of your company. So I just noticed a little typo again that I will fix. Here, the customer, and I will put that back inside the customer profile. Oops. Yes, here it is. So I have here all the data that I process for the customers. In the future, I might have the employees data as well. Let's say I don't know, fiscal ID number, like just ID, national ID, and maybe bank account, and I don't know, the salary, and here are the different data that will be processed for my employees. So of course I will have a purpose to collect this data. I need to be able to pay salaries to my employee, and the processing activities related to paying the salaries will be monthly payments, HR payments, to be specific, that I'm also responsible for, and I process the employee data, national bank account, salary, with the third party being my super HR service. Don't need such a thing for now, because obviously there's only one person working for this company, with the purpose of paying the salaries. So let's come back to my employee data. I have my monthly HR payments required by the fact that I'm paying my employees. I don't use any vendor to do so, but I want to see whether there is a legal basis for me to do so, and of course there is a legal basis to pay your employees. You don't want to mess up with labor laws. So I will create a relation again. The relation will be with the purpose. Exactly. I don't want to show the data on the purpose because there will be huge amount of data eventually. Small companies sometimes deal with like more than 200 data, and they might not even have any idea of it. But if you start counting, that's actually the number you got. So the purpose for that is to pay salaries. And here I finished the triangle relation between the salaries, the salary payment, and the labor laws. So let's just go to this pay salaries purpose here. I'm still in the database, by the way. Pay salaries here. I open a page. I will link with the labor law legal basis, name it. And here is it. So if I go back to my data catalog, I see that because of the labor laws, I have to deal with this data. I will create a roll-up as well. You might not need these columns, you can just enjoy the record of processing activities as well and extend it to whatever point you need. But some people will actually want to start from the data, some people will prefer to start from the process. I believe in different situations both comes handy, so I want to set up my system very quickly in that way. Of course you might sometimes miss some relations, but that's okay, because as long as you create the link between them, you're able to see that something is missing and to define whether this is normal that is missing because it doesn't exist or because it is still being audited, or not normal, or we lost track of something. There's no way to implement internal controls on this because this column has not been filled for a while. Of course, we make it easy to fill because from other entities we can fill these columns as well. So the legal basis and the relation is with the purpose, and the property is legal basis. We might eventually create a table for legal basis as well if we work with lawyers and do extensive legal work, but for now this is okay. We don't need to actually do legal research to understand how these laws evolve, like to track the modifications of these laws and so on. That would be the work that your legal team does. They have to be able to foresee whether this will change, understand the new changes, and re-audit the system whenever they change. Small companies won't have to deal with that much. So this is enough. I have my labor laws, my pay salaries, and now I can pretend that I have an HR management system because I can pay my employees. I can reference them. I can follow systems using the ongoing processes. So let's do that. Let's say I'm recruiting someone. Recruitment of employee 1. Here's it. It's ongoing. I will create a new activity called recruitment. Recruit new employee. Yes. And this won't be related to a customer, but this will be related to a person. So I might transform this database in people's database or not, because the customer is someone outside of the company, the employee is someone inside of the company. So I might actually create collaborators here. where we will onboard all the freelancers, interns, employees, member of the boards, people who work closely with you inside your organization. They are not partners, they are not people working for companies you buy from. They are not they are not people who you sell things to, but eventually these people, actual human, might be your employee, might buy from you. I can work for a SaaS company and use their services, you know. And they might later maybe become members of another organization and work with you again. So let's not go to that extent. That will be basically like a naturalism, like I want to see the reality of all the data. And if they are all people, they will be a people database. But we actually don't need that for now. And I don't believe we will need it later either. So there are collaborators only and no human database. Not like this one here. And the collaborator will be employee 1. Let's call him 2, him or her. Let's call this employee number 2. We have employee number 2 in the collaborators, but this property here is not a database. So let's create a new database here. Here's it. Collaborators. And let's give them a beautiful emoji. Yes, people are working, so they are collaborators, and they have a good helmet to protect them from any dangers working on Notion. Let's delete these rows and call this person employee 1 and employee 2. Let's go back to the ongoing processes, link with actual employees. Yes, I want to be able to track the ongoing processes for these employees or other collaborators because I don't want to miss any payment, of course. I might as well create a button that issue the payment orders and open different processes. I will call it activities. So open different activities to remind me to pay these people and keep a track on them, maybe assign these tasks to someone. This is definitely something you can make a good dashboard of to follow ongoing tasks and make sure that you don't miss anything. So there's the recruitment of employee number 1, there's the monthly payment of employee number 1, sorry. And it's also ongoing, we are quite late. And the activity is the monthly HR payment. So we can link with the proper collaborators here. One that is not yet a collaborator, and the second, actually the first, who is already a collaborator and we want to pay. This being done, we have now collaborators. And that will come handy because we can start now to manage human resources, and this is what they are. Each role is a resource. And here you have a page, you can add the resume or whatever, non-structured data like agreements you have with that person or whatever you need. Just keep in mind about the data you put here because you might want to update your data catalog with it and add a vendor here that would actually be Notion because we are managing the employee data in Notion currently. Here is it. We manage employees data in Notion, and we have national ID and so on here. but I won't say that Notion manages bank account salary and so on, because we have another software, like supposedly another software to do so, since we don't have a column here like bank account, employee ID, etc., etc. We might want to make our HR management system in Notion. That's completely possible, and there are some good templates to do so. So let's just add some design here. Let's add a beautiful icon to the purpose. What would be a good icon for the purpose of activities? This one. No, of course not this one. Let's just put a thumb on the top. Yes, this is good. And procurations here, a little basket maybe. Not this kind of basket, a cart. Yeah. And here we are. We have a comprehensible UI featuring all the different databases we have. We can manage whatever things we buy from the outside, whoever we buy it from, who we sell, the service we can create with these procurations, with this whatever we buy from someone else. And we have the collaborators, the people who will transform what we buy into what we sell. We have all the ongoing activities regarding who they concern. We know why we process these, why we are dealing with these activities. We know what data they are processing, and we know how these activities happen. We have extensive documentation of each. We can describe here the recruitment process. And of course link to other pages. This way I can link to other existing pages in a wiki or in specific processes. Actually, let's just show you that. If I go in the ongoing activities and I want to see what is the role this person is being recruited for and what communication I issued, I can start writing stuff here. We need someone with good knowledge management skills. Of course, that's the first person you always hire when you create a company. And blah blah blah. We will basically write anything we need here from that person. What were the different communications we had with that person, or links, let's say to the mailbox, or whatever. Anything we need to follow the recruitment process. And if we come back here in the record of processing activities, we can update this configuration of an activity and say for the role of knowledge manager, see employee 2, the recruitment of employee 2, because that's where we defined it. That's a one-time thing, but we actually used Notion to keep track of what we did for that one-time thing. And this might later be copied in another page, like how to hire a knowledge manager. Of course, there will be stuff to remove and so on. But what I want to show you here is that from something very generalistic, the recruitment process, we can also distinguish sub-processes or well-curated processes that are actually deriving from this base of a process here. But they will use the same data, they will they will fill the same purpose and so on, use the same third parties, so that's just okay to do so. And from that you can start having a habit of like, okay, I'm doing a one-time thing, this is where I'm gonna create knowledge, this is where I'm gonna keep track of what happened, so Notion. And later this might lead to improvement projects or standardization projects that we will actually start doing in this page. So the record of processing activities, if this one-time thing becomes something we are currently doing a lot, then we will just redefine it and create a specific activity of its own. So let's not do that here. We don't need much knowledge managers today. And voila. So to recruit a new employee, I also need to know the salary. I also need, I mean, this seems very not direct and it's not. But when we are recruiting someone, we are setting a salary expectations, and salary expectation is also personal data. So if I want to comply with GDPR and I have a salary attached to a job offer and someone applied to this job, of course, this person doesn't have a salary yet, but we have personal data. We know this person would consider accepting this job, or and actually that's where we see protecting personal data is important. Maybe that person doesn't actually want this salary, but at the idea of negotiating this, so yeah, this might be an issue from that person. I have no idea, but that's the thing. We don't want to profile. We don't want to issue profiling informations out of a data that is not properly managed. And because this data is actually here, we have something related to salary in the process of recruiting a new employee, then we will need to see that in the audit, and we will add salary. If you do compliance work, you will eventually have all this critical thinking process when you will assess the risks of managing salary informations in the process of recruiting a new employee. And I believe that's why some companies might not want to disclose the salary at first. I mean, that should be a reason, right? Why won't you disclose the salary? Here is it. The purpose, we are managing salary information but also national ID is to complete, sorry, where is it? I didn't create a purpose for that. The purpose is to, of course, recruit more people. And I will open this recruit new people here, and I will just add a legal basis, which is the labor laws. And here we are. So you see that for recruiting new people, new employees, we have activity. This is the activity, person accountable, and so on, as I already explained for the other rows. And now we have a purpose of recruiting new people that just appeared here. Let's go and see the purpose database. As you might have noticed now, we have a little issue because these legal bases might just repeat themselves for different things that are very similar. And I don't want to always write label laws, and I might as well make a typo, and then we have label laws, label low, and this becomes very hard to filter on. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna change the type of this legal basis column here for a multiple select option, where we will be able to select different laws we already pre-identified, and this way we know how many laws we have to comply with. And you will see that anytime you add more activities, you will have to comply with different laws. And that's just how the modern world is designed. I know a lot of people might not like to comply, but anytime you start doing business, and even anytime you start breathing in this world, you will have to comply with laws. And I think it's better, it's actually more secure and more safe for a person to understand what laws they have to comply with, and to have a system to be able to identify them and not lose track in the future of these laws. I believe some companies will just hire new people, and they will be so eager to create more values, deliver good work, that eventually they will lose track of whatever system is around the company itself. What is the real world outside the company? And of course, the more liberal you go, the less laws there will be. And I'm not arguing like whether regulation is better than non-regulation, but either you rely on people or you rely on systems like laws. You might want to set up your own internal system to be able to comply even with your own controls, with your own policies. So the legal basis here is something coming from the outside world. It's a law. You don't create laws, but you might enact policies inside your company. Let's say you want to have an inclusion policy, or you want to have an excellency policy, like you don't want to recruit people under some level, as an example. You can really imagine a lot of different policies. You will start enacting policies inside your company, and these policies will have value because they will drive how you, or each people in your company, each teams will drive the business. So we will create a new database again, and we will call it the policies. The policies will basically be the internal frameworks, like documents, that will enact some rules to follow, some like do that more than that, prefer that over that, hire this person, not this one, give this person a chance, or think about whatever they are going through, if they have some disability, or like we have a policy of hiring as many men and women in the company. Where's the data? How you make sure that it's the good role to do so? Blah blah blah. Basically, there are a lot of policies that you can enact for the best or the worst. But still, if you want people to comply with these policies, you will need to keep track of these policies. And the first policy we're gonna have here is I don't know. Let's set up a. No, I don't like this one. All on Notion policy. This one is very extreme, but I really like it. And now we have a new policy, we can start using it. I want to be able to see for each purpose what policy inside the company will be will meet this purpose as well. But in the context of an activity, of course. Otherwise, you're going to quickly start having more policies than actual activities, and that's not what we want the system to incentivize. So let's not do that. So yeah, just got lost in my thoughts. So we will create a link with the policies, and there is no limit to policies. Yes. I might want to see this on the policies side. Here we are. So we're gonna use the old Notion policy in the recruit new people. Maybe not in the pay salaries, because we just didn't implement that yet. And this policy might say, let's say, no, I don't want to create a template yet. I didn't show you that. I didn't show you how to create a template yet, so let's not complicate it. The old Notion policy says, first, you won't hire an employee who doesn't know anything of Notion, about Notion. That's very cruel, because Notion is so easy to learn. Of course, you won't do that. You will just teach the employee about Notion, and the employee will become one of many people who use Notion even in their personal life, thanks to your company. So please don't implement this policy, but that's just an example. You won't hire an employee who doesn't know anything about Notion. And that's what my cruel company will do. And if I want to comply with this policy that I just enacted here, I will say that in order to comply with the policy, when I recruit a new employee, please remember not to hire someone who doesn't know about Notion. That's not the best way to do it. I just basically wrote what I wrote on the other page. But let's actually reference the other page, all on Notion. And I believe we can just say something easy like old Notion. And we can start creating control lists as well. That will be easy to copy paste whenever you run this activity. So here is it. We have a first control. Then create another control. You can write whatever control you want here, but the other control would be to say that you filled the salary information, that you created a new collaborators, a new let's just call it an array because that's what it is in collaborators, and you created a recruitment process in the ongoing activities page. So here is it. We have several controls we can apply to this recruit new activity, and we started to identify not only tasks but controls that can help a person who will fulfill this activity to make sure it is done the way the company expects it to be done, or at least the way this person accountable to in the process owner actually of recruit a new employee process set up for you to follow. So here is it. I just explained like this person, me, is accountable for this process, but it doesn't mean other employees cannot do them. You will also have informations about the different mandates that you can use, or like access rules, like whatever. You can define your own policies as a process owner inside the process you own to make sure that you have a base to grow on. That's where you're gonna start doing continuous improvement. That's where you're gonna do internal controls and so on. And because of that, you might also want to create a page, because we just realized that we have to do all these things anytime we recruit a new employees. But we won't have people just checking the boxes in our configuration page and then unchecking them whenever they hire someone new, or when they hire multiple people at the same time. And that's where the ongoing activities will be very useful here. Because going to the ongoing activities, we actually created a recruitment process for the employee number 2. So let's go. We have employee number 2 being recruited, and we want to do all these different informations. Let's create a bit of structure here. I want to have a title, job title, and this job title will be knowledge management as an example, and then create a controls list. Okay. Sorry. Yes, and it was actually a free. Sorry. Voila. So now we have all the controls to make sure we recruit this employee the right way. If we change the configuration of this recruit new employee page, we will still keep track of how we did it in the time when we actually recruited this employee. So in the future, this page won't change. This page won't be updated by the new version of the process. And that's amazing, because we are actually able to track what we did. We have observability of the whole story of the company, and I believe that's something you need if you want to scale your company. This person might eventually argue that, I don't know, you didn't respect labor laws. In Singapore, as an example, they have laws against discrimination, and these laws already apply when you recruit new people. People can actually report you to the government. They have a button to do so. So they might create you issues, and if you don't remember what happened, or if you just use your good faith, like what is good faith? If someone in his own good faith believe that you actually abuse them, You will want to be able to show responsibilities for that and show actual evidences that you did comply with the law. And this, if this person doesn't agree, then you will have issue. You will have some actual history to use to be able to protect yourself from any court actions. But you might also just remind this person that, oh no, you're wrong, this just happened this way, and this person will of course never sue you if they know you know. So I got lost again, of course, in the details. But I think it's important to explain why we do all these things, because some people just don't have a sense of why we do knowledge management, why we want to keep a history of these kind of processes. They might seem completely useless, and it might seem like it takes a lot of time we don't need to spend, but we do need to spend this time. This is your company's value. This is literally like living in a house without taking care of like mold or like humidity issues would just be something similar to building a company without knowledge management, in my humble opinion. I'm gonna show you something useful now. Sorry for all the parentheses. I can actually create templates in this page. And as the process owner of the recruit new employees activity, I will want to create a template for the recruit new employee activities. And this way, I will save some time to the people who will want to copy paste my activity all the time, and for whatever reason, and I can make sure they have updated templates they can use all the time whenever they start this process. This will make it very easy for them. So we have here a template. I want to just use the content of this one here. I want to come back in the template I created. You see here, I just click on this button and I can edit the template. I will create this here. Then I want to open the link to this template. I want to go back to the recruit new employees activity, recruit a new employee, sorry. And I want to say we don't need all this information here, but we do need to open an ongoing activity using this template. And that's where we're gonna write all the controls. That's where we're gonna provide some structure to the page data. And we can still add other informations regarding how we recruit new employees in the company, or we can add a filtered view of the ongoing processes. I will show you ongoing activities here. And I want to take the link to the view to go back to the description of recruit a new employee activity. And I want to create a linked database view. And then I want to filter and say, I only want to see the, sorry, there was already a filter that I created in the last episode. I only want to see the activities related to, so the ongoing activities related to the activity description of how we recruit a new employee. And we see that we have one ongoing activity, and I want to save this filter for everyone in the filter. Saving the filter means that anyone opening this page will see this view here filtered the same way I am right now. If you don't save, they will not see the filter you just applied, and they will be able to put any filters by their own. They still are able to create more filters of their own if they want to filter like by name or whatever they might want. But basically, this is the experience you will provide to them. Like, if you open this page as a process owner, I want you to see ongoing activities based on this filter. And you see that I created this view here as a process owner, but every other process owners will have complete freedom to to issue their own documentation, their own dashboards, and so on for whatever they need in this, or just like this one to write nothing in it because they just don't need other people to know. That might be an issue most of the time, but sometimes it's just so easy you don't need to document, of course. And here's it. This is actually a good view. Here we can see all the ongoing recruitments, and if I want my team to work using this page, I can already start something. They can issue they can issue people like a person and say, okay, I want this person to be the assignee to this task, and they will be able to quickly switch that here just from this table. So this page that was even not meant to be a dashboard can actually be used as such, sorry. And we just created here on the fly, we just created a new column in the ongoing activities page. So you will see this new column here, assignee. And because we did that, we are now able to say that this database here, we can use a new feature of Notion, will be used to give people some tasks. So the property representing the assignee is already defined as assignee. The status is already defined as resolution, and the property that represents due date, if there are any, as yet to be created. So please create one for me. And I believe that's it. Yes, I have all my settings here. I don't want to remove it. And normally, I say normally, because I assigned this task to me and I'm a user of Notion, see if I just created a column with a relation to collaborators database, this won't work. I actually created a column of type person, so me as a Notion user, and I believe I'm able to see some of my tasks in my dashboard here. Yes. I can see all the list of tasks here, and I can filter to only see the tasks that are attributed to, I can say me. So here to me, and I will see that I have one task attributed to me. That's very convenient because now I just have to open my my Notion page on home. The first thing I will do in the morning, and I can see the lists of tasks. If I want, I can change the way they are displayed, the layout. So I want to see board, and here is it. You just created a actual operating system that people can operate. Every person in the company is now able to run a recruitment of an employee because some process owner just designed a way to do so. Created a template, he created the different columns and the different database needed to run a task management system, and now you see that I have a task and it's assigned to me, and I can come in Notion and start working very easily. So all these things we created here might seem very complicated, but in the end, this just comes to that. People will then be able to do daily activities in a very simple way, and they will have a clear view of what is needed from them. But the upper management will have a clear view of how we do things in our company. The legal management will have a view of what are the bases we use, we refer to, and other people who might need analytics or see how is the health of the company will have all these informations here. And that was just quite easy. It's just been 2 hours I'm doing that. So you can be done with that in the morning, I believe, or at least with that version, and start having people who will design new activities, start the auditing process by themselves, and then assign new tasks to people, basically. That's as simple as that. So it took me 2 hours here. It's not so easy to focus and speak on the same time. I believe this might actually come to 30, 45 minutes work if you just focus on doing this. I will leave you here, and there will be other episodes because we can go a lot further, but I believe if you stop here, you already have just enough to start your company, and you will have no issue at all to comply with at least GDPR. GDPR is not only about asset and knowledge management, so you will have other things to do, but at least this part won't be the part that will mess up with you. I see a lot of people are so afraid of GDPR because of this part of compliance. Like, I don't know what activities I'm doing. I don't know where all my data is. Where like it is sub-processed. Like, who are the vendors? The sub-processors are actually often the vendors as well. This is just as easy as that, and that's it. So I will leave you here for next time. Till next time, and I hope you enjoyed, and eventually you will be able to download more curated template where I will fix all the typos, make better examples, maybe change the icons and so on. Thank you.